get a fast car. I want a ticket to anywhere. Maybe we make a deal.
Welcome to the Sonic Collective, a music podcast that explores a different album or musical concept each month, diving deep into its history, context, and impact on the music industry. Join our hosts, Alan, Scott, and Darren Scott, that's way too many Scotts, as they share their thoughts, insights, and personal connections to the music, inviting you, the listener, to discover new perspectives and appreciation for some of the greatest albums and music of all time. Hello and welcome back to the Sonic Collective. It is September of 2023. I almost said 19. I almost started with 19. I haven't done that in a while, but hey, that works. It's 2023, September 2023. We're at the end of the month here, and we started a new round this month, and we did a one-hit wonder round last month, and it was the last 4 months. It was pretty fun, but now we jumped into our regular round where we just pick influential albums. So I'm up first, so I picked one that I remember well from when I went to high school. This is my grad year, 1988. Tracy Chapman's self-titled album. So I remember it. I liked it at the time, but you know, it's kind of one of those ones that it just faded out. She went on and did many other albums, but you know, I can't say I really followed much of her career. Give Me One Reason. I obviously was on another album a few years later that was a massive hit as well. But I wanted to go back and revisit this. And country music artist Luke Combs recently basically did a cover of it. So now she's kind of back in the zeitgeist of things with that hit, and people are like, "Oh, this Luke Combs song is good." Like, why is he singing about a man? But he didn't change the words. He just kind of kept them. But anyway, these reviews are always fun. But I'm joined by Scott Coates across the pond in Thailand, and here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, I've got Alan Dupuis and Scott Gregory. How's it going tonight, guys?
It's going pretty good, eh?
Thanks.
And I say tonight, but Scott's in Thailand, so really it's the morning tomorrow there, so it's weird, but we won't get into all that
Scott's
stuff.
in the future.
Have a mic.
Yeah, Scott's in the future. So if anybody wants
give
to
me the lotto numbers.
Yeah, if you want to bet on sports lotto numbers, just ask into the future. Yeah.
Yeah,
I always like that. And if anybody, if you've internationally traveled, you probably get this. But if you haven't, if you've ever been to Thailand and you fly back to Canada, obviously heading east back that way, you sometimes get back before you left, which is always a weird phenomenon. I remember arriving in Vancouver an hour before I left Thailand once. And so if you want like time travel or want to win lottery tickets, it's fun.
It is odd. I'm flying on a direct flight from Bangkok to Vancouver in December, and we do indeed land before we left, which is weird. But then you get screwed coming the other way because you end up jumping ahead like 14, 15 hours, so you lose more than half a day. But
you lose a day. Yeah, it's fun. So what's new, guys? What are you drinking these days, guys? What are you drinking these days? I have a rum and Coke now, but I've been into this Sea Change Brewery out of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Here, they have some really good beer. The Mandarin, I can't remember what it's called, something, but really cool brewery. What about you guys?
I'm into a bit of the sweeter stuff right now. The Pop Shop, for a childhood classic here in Canada, had released alcoholized versions of some of their most popular, like cream sodas and lime and stuff like that.
I've seen.
I went down that rabbit hole a little bit. Yeah, they taste frighteningly close to the non-alcoholic versions. I don't know how I feel about that.
Black cherry was their flavor I loved as a kid.
Black cherry. The Pop Shop. Or lime Ricky. Was it lime Ricky?
Yeah. Cream soda. Yeah. Root beer.
Yeah. I'm presently drinking a ginger beer because I'm fighting off a little bit of a cold, and I don't have ginger ale.
I love ginger beer.
But it's super good. This Grace brand, you get it at Superstore here.
Oh yeah,
burns your nose. Really good for if you're sick.
Alan, I know you love your whiskeys though. Like if you don't know Alan for a short time, and I don't, it's hard to keep going. But he did Oak and Age, a nice little kind of YouTube series about great whiskeys and other spirits. So what are you drinking these days?
Yeah, that's right. I actually haven't been drinking a whole lot, and I'm heading into a sober October here, so I'm gonna be riding that sobriety train for the next month. But I did pick up a bottle of J.P. Weiser's Hickory It's like a hickory expression. It's 13 years old. It's a Canadian exclusive, I believe. I gotta be honest, I was a little disappointed with it.
I'm not so sure how I feel about flavored whiskeys. Like, I love Jack Daniels, and whenever I see a bottle of some flavored, I just want to punch the bottle a little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't mind them. I don't mind them, but I don't see them as a true whiskey. I see them as like a
liqueur.
A variation on a whiskey. I wouldn't put it in,
sure.
I wouldn't say like, oh, what are you drinking for your whiskey tonight? And somebody would say like peach crown oil. I'd be like, let's not go there.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't like the artificially flavored stuff.
Yeah.
If they use a different wood or if they like smoke the grains, that's okay in my book. But as soon as you start adding sugar and fake flavor, you lost me.
Although
I still like
peanut butter
I've talked about Sortilège, right?
Yeah,
like Sortilège, the maple whiskey. They have like a 5-year aged version of it as well too. That's absolutely delicious. And if I'm just gonna have one and I'm gonna sip a glass, it'll probably be that.
Yeah, I'm like on my Woodford Reserve still when I have a bourbon.
Oh yeah,
and the double oaked is awesome. I gotta say, I had a new gin because I have a bottle here in Thailand a couple of weeks ago, and that gin and tonic was real good. But beer-wise, one you probably don't get there. It's called Kagua Red, and it's some Japanese person that is making Belgian brown styled, and it's 9%. But man, is it ever a nice Belgian brown? But made by a Japanese guy. I don't quite know why. But anyway, yeah, those are my drinks at the moment.
That's awesome. And thanks for the plug. As listeners may or may not know, probably don't know, but I've started a small distillery here in Calgary, Alberta. So we do a really nice citrus forward gin. And I've got a couple canned drinks based on actually the gin and soda version, just one. It's coming out this month in Culinaire, a very popular local Alberta magazine here, but they do their own Alberta Beverage Awards. So only for Alberta producers, but our canned drink won for Best in Class and Best RTD. For our gin and soda with grapefruit and orange flavoring. Yeah. So that's pretty exciting. Yeah. And with that, all right, how about we get rolling? So, again, Tracy Chapman. So, it's fine. I'm sure you guys know of Tracy Chapman, heard of her, but I don't know how much, and so I'm not going to really say much more. I think I've already alluded to that I like this album and knew it. So I'm going to fire it off to Scott Gregory. Why don't I start with you, and what were your initial thoughts on this album?
Yeah, so one, I didn't realize Tracy Chapman was that old. Like, she's almost like 60. And I guess she was 24 when this album
I'm almost 54.
Out.
Like, ouch, man. This hurts.
This is what I'm getting to, right?
I was saying,
I guess that's why she sounds so young.
It's so funny when you said that. I was when I was doing my research, I'm like, oh, wow, she's much younger than I thought. And the first thing you said, she's I'm old.
Yeah, I'm old too. That's what I'm getting to, right? Like, I'm like, oh, crap. Seeing how old she is reminded me of just how old that I am too. So, but yeah, well, she's very politically and socially conscious. So when you look her up, it makes sense that this album, like, I clearly hold nothing against her. It's an excellent vehicle to push for social and political change, especially when you're trying to motivate a younger voting demographic, right? So pretty solid album, but with these days, with the inundation of this type of messaging, I don't know how it holds up because it's just coming at you from every channel, and I really have to be in the mood for that now. And music is mostly an escapist activity for me, and so I really gravitated towards the storytelling elements of the album than the activist ones, and so those tracks are the ones that I appreciated a little bit more. So with that in mind, a couple of the different tracks, like Talking About a Revolution, it's a nice little tune, but, if you listen to the lyrics on this, it's really kind of dark, and it's this weird juxtaposition going into it. I thought it was an interesting choice for a leadoff track, and Fast Car, obviously, it goes out with saying. This is it's a great song. It's iconic. You could almost say it's generational. There's just a lot of words you can throw at it. It just shows the strength of her vocals and the power that's stripped down in that acoustic set. It just carries. There's nowhere to hide on this track, and her talent really shines through. So, Yeah, so there's a number of artists that have covered Fast Car as well too, right? And I think it's good to make a comparison between them. There was Luke Combs definitely did it. We just mentioned that. But then if I remember right, Khalid has done it, and Justin Bieber has done it as well. And so you have people across just a spectrum of music with different approaches to it. And I think she just holds up as the best of the group with the style that she's approached it with, and I definitely preferred storytelling tracks like this one, which still, it's obviously a deep social commentary rooted within it, but instead it's also rooted in just this common experience that we have rather than some more overt activist messaging, like talking about a revolution I mentioned before, right? It still reaches me in this world that's just saturated in the political. Baby, Can I Hold You? Again, I didn't know that this was her song. The first time I heard this was by Boyzone. Don't judge me. I'm kind of outing myself as like a UK Irish boy band fan. It's a guilty pleasure, whatever. Ronan Keating was a shit, and I make no apologies, right? But you listen to these two tracks and the different approach to them, and I think we're fortunate we have them to compare with, because just that power of her stripped down acoustic versions is great. I don't think Boyzone goes overboard at all in their production, but between their harmonizing and their fuller instrument complement, I just think she definitely demonstrates less is more here, if you have her vocal talent. And at the end, For You, again, I love the lyrics. Her vocal performance is completely on point. I think it's a beautiful love song, and it rounds out my favorites on this album. It really is a great way for her to close out this album. But overall, as an album, and this is how we judge these things, I'm sorry, I found it just, in its entirety, just a little bit forgettable outside of some of those memorable tracks, those outstanding ones. They just didn't stand out as being stellar beyond just her raw vocal abilities and a dedication to keeping it a nice, simple, and clean instrumental arrangement and accompaniment. I listen on Spotify, and when it ends an album, it automatically autoplays into a similar song. And in this case, it was Never Tear Us Apart by In Excess off of Kick. And strangely enough, that album also starts with a very political Guns in the Sky, right? Which I think is a great song. But from there, it just carries out into this really diverse and attention-capturing journey that I really wish I would have had with Chapman as well. She's obviously a talented storyteller and musician, but I don't know why the overall album just feels flat for me in comparison to something like that. And it really took away a bit from the overall enjoyment. I'll pull a number of tracks off of this onto my playlists, but likely won't be listening to it as a whole again soon, which isn't an indictment of her as an artist. Again, like I said, I think she's extremely talented. It's just as a whole, this album doesn't really call to me as a end-to-end experience. Alan, I see you nodding your head. What do you think?
Yeah, no, that's fair. And remember, music is subjective. So I really didn't know what to expect from this album, honestly. I'd only ever heard her big songs like Fast Car and Give Me One Reason, that being the other song I'd heard. So these two songs didn't really prime me for what to expect on this album. And I wasn't ready for the kind of soulfulness that was on display here. I mean, this album has a very timeless quality to it. It doesn't really show its age the way you might expect from an album that was released in the 1980s. And I think this can be attributed in large part to how just stripped down everything is. I mean, it's not overproduced. There's nothing superfluous in the music. It's pretty much just singer-songwriter stuff. And in fact, the raw basicness of this album is never more on display than her song called Behind the Wall, which is a completely a cappella single track featuring nothing more than Tracy's raw vocal performance. It's kind of like when Scott Gregory's singing in the shower, except way better, and there's no running water. But she sings about real life things, like racism and inequality and shitty police encounters. Like, this album came out a long time ago, well before the current climate of social justice was kind of just part of our cultural lexicon. And so I think that there's a lot of authenticity in her commentary. And it seems like, sadly, a lot of her commentary is still relevant 35 years onward, But what I do appreciate about the songs on this album are that they never really come across as preachy, because I don't know about you, but I don't really like being preached to. She just provokes thought through her words, and I think a lot of these songs were motivated by her upbringing, being a young black girl being raised in a conservative state by a single mother. And I guess she alleges that the songs aren't necessarily autobiographical, but they still ring true enough to kind of fall close to home for her. For what it's worth, I think her voice is absolutely fantastic. It's got a real richness and depth to it. It's super soulful in nature. And there are even rare moments on this album where she does a little bit of vocal harmonies, and like my arm hair sticks straight up whenever I hear that. I kind of wish there was more of that. I did notice a funny parallel between some of the songs on this album and some of the songs I grew up hearing when I was like a church kid growing up in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They had like youth services where they played more contemporary rock tunes. And like, I don't know, I just kind of, there was like a strange familiarity to this album, even though I'd never heard it before. And it just kind of really reminded me of, the church band stuff. I think for my part, my favorite song on this album was called Mountains, O Things. It's probably my favorite song on the album, particularly due to all the tribal instrumentation. Fast Car is obviously a standout as well for storytelling. It's pretty relatable, I think, and that's probably why so many people gravitate to it. So, yeah, I don't know. I didn't know what to expect, but I sure didn't think I would enjoy the album as much as I did. And I do kind of wish that her career had more momentum into the late 90s, early 2000s, because I think she'd probably be a bit of a musical force even to this day. So it's kind of a mixed blessing that, Luke Combs did a cover of Fast Car and brought this awareness to this album for a new generation. Let's throw it over to you, Scott Coates.
Yeah, thanks, Alan. I couldn't believe the singles on this, and I don't think I ever heard the whole album, but as I listened to it, first track talking about a revolution, I'm like, oh yeah, I know this song. This is really quite something. And it immediately struck me that this could have been written this year, right? Or a couple of years ago during George Floyd. And I mean, both in how it sounds, we're probably in an era where this album's 25 years old, where 25 years ago, production equipment was good. So stuff still sounds good. But yeah, I'm like, this thing could have just come out last week, sound-wise, but also content-wise and lyric-wise. I mean, this is a protest folk album. And gosh, I don't listen to folk, but I just can't think of too many folk albums, in the last 20, 30 years. It's not in my wheelhouse, but again, I was surprised how many singles were on it that I kind of forgot. And I'm wondering what happened in 1988 that made this one of the topics at the time, right? But you got Fast Car talking about a revolution, Baby Can I Hold You, all great songs. And for me, Baby is the high point of the album. But there aren't too many songs that are sadder while being kind of a love song. I found Behind the Wall interesting in that I almost didn't notice it was a cappella somehow until it was almost over. And I'm like, hey, that was just an a cappella song. Somehow it was just pulled off without me even noticing that. And I thought She's Got Her Ticket was quite a nice change. And I suddenly imagined being at a beach bar, having a kind of drink along tropical seas. I'm like, this is quite different. Like it definitely to me, was tropical beach bar. Her voice is awesome. Her voice is awesome. The musicianship and production are top drawer. I really admire what she's done here. I mean, bringing back kind of an old genre. These singles definitely stand the test of time. The whole thing, though, isn't quite my jam, and I'll leave it at that till we get into the review part. Over to you, Darren.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Interesting. I like the different views on it. Again, I remember this album well. And yeah, I listened to a few podcasts about it. There's one called Bandsplain. and she actually I forget the host's name. She has a guest on that wrote an article on Tracy Chapman as well, and they talk about it for like 3 hours. But it's actually songs in it, really good history, and I listened to a few other perspectives, and I actually learned a lot about this time in album. And I was there. I graduated this year in 1988, so I always like to do this now and then, is put it back in context. And Scott, you literally just said you were like, I'm not sure what was going on at this time and in the world, but in the world of music, well, I think, first of all, it's super conservative. This is a Ronald Reagan era, like super conservative. The Two Live Crew, NWA censorship is going on in music. It is we're in the swing of 80s pop. And I mean, every generation has that. So, hip hop's making a big surge. It's very 80s poppy, which I love. I lived that era and, hey, nothing but respect. But also came out like Bon Jovi, New Jersey came out, and all these George Michael Faith was like one of the big albums that year. So, yeah, I mean, you kind of get the vibe. It was very poppy, kind of, big glamour and things like that happening. Rap is starting to come out. So it's a very different, and then Reagan era, like, vibe. And all of a sudden, this woman comes out of nowhere almost, but she didn't. And you know what I like about her story, and I learned, is that she, I guess, had been performing. She'd moved to Boston, was going to school in Boston. I think she's from, is it Ohio? Yeah, like, I don't know if it's Cleveland, somewhere in Ohio. Apologies, Tracy, for forgetting that. But and then moved to Boston school. She's in there, and I guess she completely did the local scene there, especially like coffee shops and stuff. And she cut her teeth with like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shows, and really perfecting her craft and her songs. And yeah, obviously kind of folky influence, but she doesn't like to be put in that box either. She thinks also that there was black radio stations that wouldn't play her because all of a sudden, like, rap and all these, kind of these soul, Bobby Brown, big at the time, things like that. So it's kind of this 90s soul vibe. And if you didn't fit into that box, they weren't playing. So she kind of got shunned by the black population, which, she's black and just an amazing songwriter and artist. So, here she is in this era, and all of a sudden, like, bang, like all this pop and all this glam and all this stuff's going on. We're in that world of hair metal too. Like, think Motley Crue and Rad and, all this stuff's going on. And then bang, here comes this. And an interesting thing too, like, at first, and I'll admit, I'm from Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, small province, and I'll admit where I was wrong. I didn't know much or understand like the LGBTQ2S plus. Sorry, I know I probably massacred that, but I mean nothing but respect. But I didn't understand that. I just wasn't raised. It was kind of one of those things. I was just ignorant. I didn't know, and I even used those slurs in the past, and I'm sorry that I did, and I've corrected myself over time. But this was a time when that wasn't really accepted. And I mentioned George Michael. Like, I remember thinking George Michael, I'm like, man, I want to look like George Michael. That guy must just get all the girls. Like, I had no idea he was gay. No, artists were not coming out then. It was all hidden. I mean, she, is, a lesbian, identified lesbian, but never really made that big point, but kind of came off androgynous. I actually thought when she came out, I thought it was a male singer. I wasn't sure. Really the cover, it's just, it's Tracy Chapman, but very short hair, and it's kind of blurry. So it, like, at first you weren't sure. I'm like, oh, is this a guy or a girl? It was kind of this androgynous, and kind of she was kind of ahead of her time, and she didn't actually even use a lot of pronouns on some of her songs too. So, kind of cutting edge, but stripped down acoustic. So gone is a glam, gone is a hair metal, and here comes this, woman on a guitar that just has these wonderful, beautiful songs. So apparently her first 3 albums basically were all written when she was in college. She pretty much just, again, doing these circuits and just had like this material. I think she had something like 200 songs. And the first 3 albums were like the best of those that she perfected over time. So, and even in that, I mentioned it, Give Me One Reason, that was on a later album, that won for Best Rock Song of the Year, by the way, if you didn't know that, and beat out like Wonderwall and like Stupid Girl Garbage, and I forget, like, it was crazy. Like, who else was she in that category with? Like, Sixth Avenue Heartache and Too Much, Dave Matthews Band, and yeah, crazy, right? So, I mean, like, just an awesome songwriter, wrote those all in that time. And, I think she had something to say, but I think Scott Gregory, you mentioned, you thought very maybe too political and stuff, but I don't think so. There's a bit of that in there, but I think she's just kind of telling like it is, like, and she always got thrown into that, like, oh, you're very political and angry and serious, but like, would you say that about U2? Like, why is U2 a band they started like super angry and political and still are to this day? Like so. Yeah. Anyway. I just think at that time, this circle of music, there was all this pop, and I think we're in it right now where we're in like, oh my God, like there's so much manufactured pop, and no offense to Taylor Swift and all her fans and stuff like that, but that is an artist that has $1 billion behind them, multiple producers, she has songwriting help and everything like that, and she's a talented artist. So I like Taylor Swift, I'm not bashing her, and it has its place, but like, there's so much manufactured pop now. I think we're going to see it again here in the future where it's going to go back to a more stripped down, like real authentic sound, which is like players and instruments. And I think that's just the circle of music life that just keeps happening. And we see it over and over. And I think she literally started it in 1988. Like that same year, Traveling Wilburys came out, also stripped down. And then think of the Artist that Follows. All of a sudden, this is a woman on a guitar. Then, like a couple years later, oh, there's Alanis Morissette, there's Jewel, there's Tori Amos, there's like boom, boom, boom. Like, did Tracy Chapman literally start that? And music labels are all of a sudden like, oh my God, she just sold like 3.5 million albums, and she's like sounds like a folk song, like kind of Joan Baez. But yeah, so all of a sudden this surge came after that. Did she start it? I think so. I think she might be one of the most influential, artists of that time. I mean, she really paved the way for that. And again, it was just such a conservative time. One thing that happened is she was getting good traction from that album, but then she was a featured artist at Nelson Mandela's 70th birthday celebration in June 1988, and it was a televised event to 600 million people. Now, she had an earlier slot and played, she didn't play Fast Car. She played Talking About a Revolution, and I'm forgetting the other songs. She only played 2 songs. But then they had this thing where one of the headliners was Stevie Wonder, and he had some technical problems. He couldn't get out there in time. And she's just like, well, I got a couple more songs, and went out. And I guess the people were almost like booing her for a sec. And she started Fast Car, and like the crowd just like died and like went silent. 600 million people. Like after that, that just catapulted her into like instant fame. It was like a big, big deal. I think I'm like gushing over this album. Like, I'll just start jumping in now, like to the score part. But like, I'll even start. Usually leave mine to the end. I'm 5s. This is in like a like Tom Petty Wildflowers category for me. I think like, yeah, it might not be your exact style of music. It is slower and stuff, but she's an amazing artist, an amazing songwriter, has her own sound. There's not a dud song on this. I know, Scott Gregory, you may disagree. You said you didn't necessarily like some of them, but I just think this is, yeah, you could pick a few things, but for what this album did at the time and how good it is, and even if you follow her career, definitely not a one-hit wonder. That music kind of died in popularity, but her quality and what she kept doing was amazing. Maybe not the same as this album, but this is all 5 album for me. And I haven't done that in a while. But let's go way back to Scott Gregory. What do you think on scores? And don't be influenced by me. Stick to what you did.
Thanks, Darren. Yeah, to the rest of the gang's point, I think her social commentary is very poignant, and it's still relevant. And if I wasn't in this escapist mood that I'm in these days, it would probably resonate with me more. It was the storytelling centered around the human condition that really called to me in this moment. So, regarding what they were saying, if you're particularly interested in music with a social conscience that's still relevant today, increase my scores by 1. And I actually increased one of my scores by 1, Darren, despite what you just said, because you convinced me. When you mentioned like Alanis and Tori Amos and some other people, those are people that are actually very influential in my growth, musically. And so I'm bumping up my influence. It was originally a 2, but I'm putting it at 3 because now that you've mentioned them again, probably the second we're done, I'm going to go listen to like Tear in Your Hand by like Tori Amos.
Yeah, like, I mean, she introduced like just a powerful female on a guitar, right? And that sound. And and then just that voice and good songwriting. And that's exactly what those artists were right after. I guarantee if you talk to them, they'd say they were influenced by this album for sure.
Totally. I could 100% believe that. And so in the moment, you have already convinced me to up one of my scores by 1. Recommend I already had at 4 though, because I think you do have to listen to this album to really get a feel for what a folky kind of acoustic powerhouse she was in that moment. I don't think there was a lot of people doing what she was doing around then, or if they were, they definitely weren't as prominently in the spotlight as she was when she hit Fast Car. So overall, hashed out, that would be a 3.5 from me, but that's not to take anything away from her talent as an individual. Part of that is just I didn't feel the album overall meshed very well for me, but I think she's just a stunningly talented artist, and again, highly recommend you go check it out for yourself because it's probably going to hit you a little bit differently than me. What do you think, Scott C?
Yeah, I admire Darren's love of the album, and I'm conflicted on this one because I think it is an incredible album. I think she does have an incredible voice. I admire her for taking on the topics that she's taken on her songs, and it sounds great. It's aged well. It's kind of timeless, So while I say that, I also it's just not my jam. I tried. And aside from early morning returning emails and reading some news, there's just no time that this just speaks to me. So recommend, I'll give it a 5 because I definitely think it is an incredible album of this genre and time and so forth. So I'll give it a 5 for recommend. Influence, I'm going to give it a 1.5 because I'm just not a folk person. Like I'm not going to go further down the folk route. And I'm kind of breaking the overall rating. Like overall, I think if I was telling people, I'd say a 4, but personally a 3. And not because I don't think it's a good album. It's just I don't jive with it. Like I'm not really going to listen to it again because I just find it too sad. It's just too sad, which is a terrible thing to say, but it's just too sad and I'm not going to listen to it. But I think it is an incredible album.
Thanks, Scott. Alan, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to keep this short and sweet. This isn't the kind of jam that I would throw on for cathartic purposes. But for easy listening and just doing stuff around the house or just blasting and singing along to when I'm in the shower, I think it's a win. Overall, I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. And I think I would have probably even scored it higher. But, music is subjective. And like I said, I wouldn't necessarily want to listen to this every day. It's not my everyday tune. But I really do respect it for what it is. Recommend, I'm also giving a 4 out of 5. I think this is a great album if you are into that singer-songwriter stuff or you want to hear something that's soulful and has some good storytelling to it. And I've already been recommending it to people, so 4 out of 5 for that. And then Influence, I'm also giving it a 4 out of 5, basically for the same reasons you guys said. I mean, I think that a lot of these female empowerment rockers in the 90s probably owe a bit of a debt of gratitude to Tracy Chapman. And it influenced me a little bit, too, because I want to go and explore some of her other albums and see, does it have that same depth and richness to it, her subsequent albums? So overall, I think this was a terrific pick. I'm really surprised I enjoyed it as much as I did.
Yeah, that's cool. And I say that too all the time. Actually, a lot of us here have said that we're more in the faster music kind of spectrum, more upbeat tempo and things like that. But I think it's just sometimes when you just have like a great songwriter, and I mentioned the Tom Petty Wildflowers album we reviewed, and that was a couple of years ago, but in our podcast, please go back and listen. But that album too was a lot slower in general, but just so well written and so like all the songs were just so good, like that it's hard not to like her. And I mean, yeah, there's personal opinion, and I gushed a bit, and but it's not my regular everyday stuff. I think it deserves all 5s, but it is stuff. But it's a lovely album. And yeah, like I said, I listened to some of her later stuff, and also just as pleasing. Like, I think we said that too in the final one hit wonder there too. Just saying, it's just so pleasing.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it's just when you listen to something is important, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember when Jewel's first album came out, and I would say there's a lot of parallels between these two. As far as just the tone and nature of the album, right? And I was gushing over that the same way that you are now. So maybe if I would have listened to this album, in the same time frame, I can completely see me being in the same space as you are now, right?
And I don't think I'm 10 years older than you, but probably close. But or maybe I am. I definitely am an elm. But it was just that was okay. So 7 or I guess 48. Oh wow, you're old, man.
Close enough.
Yeah. I'm just kidding. 6 years. 6 years. But I mean, it's just the generation you're in, and like I said, like when you graduate high school, like you always remember that's all the music you completely remember, and this was my year. So I mean, I remember liking it, and it's definitely one of those albums. It was a makeout album. Like I remember, you get this. Oh, this is the one you put on when you're with the girlfriend, right? Like you're just like, ooh, smoochy. Hopefully second base if you're lucky, But that was about it. But 18, I wasn't.
I think I was listening to. I think I was listening to Core by Stone Temple Pilots right now, so maybe that's why I wasn't smooching as much. I should have got the acoustic
Stone Temple
music
Pilots. I don't know if that's makeout music. I guess we can get into it.
No,
It
could have been
Korn.
Ladies.
Korn, yeah. I was in that music too. I was in that music too. I just didn't put it on when I was with the ladies, But yeah,
exactly. 1, nobody's kissing me. 2, nobody's kissing me.
That's Drowning Pool, sir. How dare you?
That's funny. That's funny. Anyway, hey, great review again, and I actually have been meaning to pick her for a while, kind of, because I just knew it was a very influential album, and I remember really liking it, and it's just been aged. And then when Luke Combs redid it, it was just like, okay, it was a prompt for me. Anyway, we've gone on long enough. Hey, hope you enjoyed our perspective on it. And again, we're really about looking back at these classic albums that were known to be influential, and just do they stand the test of time? And I think one thing in this one, like Scott Coates said it too, it's like you could put this on today, and maybe it's not your total jam, but the sound is dynamite. And I mentioned it in my introduction of the album. Like I have it on vinyl, and I'm sure CD the same too, but it's beautifully mastered, recorded, produced, and very stripped down. I know she just was... Basically, she was used to just playing in a guitar in a coffee shop, and they just got some really talented session players that played and toured with her, but they were just very professional, very good, and they kind of came in and helped with that sound and everything. And it just beautiful sound. And this is pre-auto-tune and everything, right? So Behind the Wall, like I said, just an amazing song, a cappella, again, I don't want to bash Taylor Swift, but could she do that? Yeah, I don't know.
Don't get the Swifties after you.
Yeah, no, I don't want any Swifties.
We've had a good run.
No,
don't let it end
Swift.
here.
I like Taylor Swift. I don't think that's her. Yeah. And the whole Travis Kelce thing, that's funny. There's a nice video. I'm sure everybody, maybe if you follow, I'm a football guy too, but there's a video of some wife going isn't it amazing that, that Taylor Swift put this football player on the map? And he's it's Travis Kelce. He's the best tight end in football. Potentially, he could be one of the greatest of all time.
Ever.
Oh, you know.
She better not ruin my football
Lots
pool.
of people know who he is, and they're like, oh, but it was crazy though. Did you see the stats? The Swift effect. He gained almost 400,000 Instagram followers instantly, and it was the biggest ticket sale day ever they had, and viewership. It was the biggest viewership of an NFL game when people found it. It's crazy. Anyway, rambling
man's
on.
Going
about
places now.
So, and basically, I'm saying, hey, I'm fine with Taylor Swift. Anyway, next month now is Scott Coates' pick, so you'll have to kind of stay tuned and figure out what he's going to do there. We won't let you know who it is, but it's going to be up at we're recording this here in end of September of 2023, and it'll be up right away in October 1st here. So join us next time, and guys, any parting shots?
Stay safe out there.
Stay
I'm
safe.
just surprised there was no recommendation on local greenery.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
yeah.
that. Yeah, good weed. Yeah. Oh shoot, I just got some good weed too, and I forget the company though. I remember the strain is called the Pick Me Up, which is a funny name for. Yeah, it's literally called the Pick Me Up, but it's a nice, cool weed. Yeah, and now there's they're doing these full spectrum weeds where it's just like usually edibles are known to be more of a body buzz and things like that, but now they have this full spectrum where it's like not only body but mind and stuff. No, the shit they're doing with weed now, man, it's crazy. Not that I do it all the time.
High-tech.
But yeah, I do enjoy it. Yeah, but yeah, recommended. We live in Canada. It's legal federally here.
It's totally legal.
Totally legal.
All legal conversation happening, ladies and gentlemen. And
I
everyone in
definitely
between.
never did it before. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, right. Anyway,
No, it's
okay.
all new experiences.
Hey, well, thanks for joining us. To all the fans out there that like our podcast, actually just got another prompt. We just actually recently finished in another top 25 list of top 25, I think rock review podcasts or something like that. But hey, it's cool. We do this for us and for fun and for the passion of music, and we like it. So we hope you do too. If you have any suggestions, please feel free to reach out to us on our social channels or on our website, thesonic.com. Lots of other stuff there. We got like hundreds of episodes, so please join us. But until next time, I'm Darren Scott here in Calgary with Scott Gregory and Alan Dupuis. We got Scott Coates across the pond in Thailand. He's in the future, but he's already gone. Doesn't matter. But we're going to sign off for tonight, and thanks for listening. Have a good one.
She's got her ticket. I think she gonna use it. I think she going to fly away. No one should try and stop her, persuade her with their power. She says that her mind is made.
Hey, thanks for joining us on the Sonic Collective, where we've explored the music, the history, and the impact of some of the greatest albums of all time. We hope you've enjoyed our discussions and gained new insights and appreciation for the music you and we love. Join us next month for another exciting album, and until then, keep listening to great music.